Hello and welcome to the Windows 10 crash course. In this video we're going to be going over how to configure your privacy controls, and since this is such a sensitive topic, obviously this is all dependent on your personal preferences, but we're just going to go ahead and show you some of the privacy controls within Windows 10, explain a little bit about them and how you can go ahead and navigate through them and toggle them based on your personal preferences. Here we are within the Windows 10 desktop, and what you're going to do is go ahead and head over to your start menu and then go ahead and click on the settings icon right here. And this will allow you to go into your privacy options. So we're going to go ahead and let the settings load. You can see right here you have the option to go into the privacy category. And there's a lot of different categories, so we're going to go from top to bottom here, starting with the general privacy settings that you can alter. Of course, at any time you can read the privacy statement from Microsoft to make sure that you understand everything which you're agreeing to. However, here are some of the things you can toggle within your general privacy settings. You can have apps let apps use your advertising ID for experiences across apps. So turning this off will reset your ID. You can turn on what's known as Smart Screen Filter. This will check web contents like URLs that Windows Store apps use. You can have Microsoft send information about how you write to help improve typing and writing in the future. Again, that's all dependent on if you want that on or not. So for example, if you don't want information or things that you're typing and writing to be sent, you just toggle it off right here. Let websites provide locally relevant content by accessing my language list. So for example, if it knows that you are in Japan, and you can look at sites that are, Japanese, of course. So it can provide local content or ads based on your region. You can turn that on or off, again, depending on your preferences. Next up is location. So if this is on, this is a setting allows you to essentially whoever's signed in, whether it's the admin, you're a family member, or what have you. Basically, if the location is on for the said device, whether it's a Windows 10 tablet, phone, or computer, of course, then it's tracking the location using things like Wi-Fi and GPS. So when location services for this account are on, apps and services can allow a request for location and location history. So you can turn that on or off, and then you can also clear location history on the device. So if you don't want it to know places you've been, then you can easily turn that off. However, in a smarter way, you can actually manually filter out apps that can use your location. So for example, if you want your weather app to know where you're at, which is really useful because then it can, of course, tell you information about the weather in your area, then you can have that on. However, for other applications, you can easily turn that off all through here. Geofencing. A geofence is a boundary around a place of interest, and apps can use your location to see if you're crossing in and out of that boundary to stop apps from using location for geofencing. So that's all relevant to certain apps if you have apps that support that. For example, to-do list apps might use that in the sense that if it knows that you're in a specific location and when you exit it, it knows to remind you about something. So in this case, what geofencing does is it tells apps to stop using your location once you're outside of that designated area. So again, certain apps will use that depending on what you have installed. Camera settings. This allows you to let apps use your camera. So if you have a webcam built in, then you can again turn this on or off overall, or you can manually adjust it for specific applications. Next up is microphone. This is practically the same thing, as your camera, but for your microphone, of course, gathering audio information. Now, this is relevant, especially in Windows 10, because apps like Cortana can use your microphone and become very useful. However, there's other apps that you may not want to give access to use your microphone, so you can easily turn that off here. Speech, inking, and typing. Windows and Cortana get to know your voice, your writing to make better suggestions for you. They collect info about your contacts, recent calendar events, speech, and more. And you can allow it to get to know more about you in order to provide you relevant content and better results. However, for some people who don't like Microsoft gathering all that information about them, then you can easily just turn that off right here under Stop Getting to Know Me. Account info. This allows apps to access your things like your name, picture, and other account info, so it makes it easier to sign up for certain apps. Contacts. You can have whether or not apps can access your contacts. And that's a pretty big privacy concern in the sense of that's other people's information technically. So, again, you can choose sparingly here which apps you want to allow to access contacts. Underneath that is calendar. So your calendar allows you, again, to allow apps to access your calendar information as well as events that are on there. So of course, our default apps like Mail and Calendar, if you want that on, you can obviously leave that on. Messaging. So this is relevant to text or MMS, especially if you're on a mobile device with Windows 10. Then again, this is something you're going to want to go ahead and enable or disable depending on your preferences. Radios. So some apps will use certain radios, such as your Bluetooth radio and so on, to receive and send data. If you want apps to be able to control that, you can turn that on or off here. Other devices, so we'll go ahead and let this load here. This allows apps to automatically share and sync info with wireless devices that don't explicitly pair with your PC, tablet, or phone. So an example it says here can be beacons or other devices like your Xbox One, TV projectors, and so on. So if you are using it for devices such as that, you're going to want to leave this on. However, if you're not, you can easily turn this off as well so that it's not gathering those signals essentially. You have feedback and diagnostics here. Again, this allows you to adjust privacy concerns for that. So whether or not you want your data to be sent to Microsoft, you can adjust the level of that, basic, enhanced, and full. As well as when Windows should ask for your feedback, you can have it automatically once a day, once a week, or never. Again, all on your choice there. And last but not least, the background apps privacy concerns here. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to choose which apps can receive info, send notifications, stay up to date even when you're not using them. Turning background apps off can also help preserve power, so that's something to keep in mind. Again, this is really useful in a couple ways. One, to keep your PC running efficiently, but also privacy concerns in the sense of if you don't want to get notified by specific apps, then you can easily turn off those notifications here and stop them from running in the background and taking up resources. So again, this is all your privacy settings within Windows 10 from the main settings menu. Of course, it's always worth reading privacy statements, especially from these big companies like Microsoft and Windows 10. When you first install Windows 10, it's going to ask you some of these big concerning questions with privacy, of course. So, be sure to read over those. And of course, if you don't adjust those in the first install, then you can easily do them later on through the settings menu. Privacy is such a big topic because, again, with information being sent every which way nowadays and companies gathering information, it's important to know what you're sending and why you're sending it. Of course, a lot of these things can help companies like Microsoft to improve the better, overall performance of things like Windows 10 and future updates to come. However, it's all dependent on what you as a user want being gathered and reported. So we hope you enjoy this video. And of course, don't forget to check out future content on the Windows 10 Crash Course. Thanks for watching.